Amid global fixation on America's bold moves targeting Venezuela, Greenland, and Iran that dominate headlines worldwide, a secret and intensifying geopolitical clash between regional rivals Turkey and Israel is quietly brewing across the strategically vital African continent. On January 6, Turkey's intelligence chief Ibrahim Kalin publicly declared that all of Africa now constitutes a critical strategic priority warranting comprehensive integration into the nation's overarching national security doctrine and foreign policy framework. Turkey's calculated Africa pivot materialized just weeks after rival Israel became the very first nation on earth to formally recognize the breakaway Somaliland region as an independent sovereign state, rewriting Horn of Africa geopolitics. Somaliland represents a long-contested breakaway territory formally claiming independence from Somalia, which Tel Aviv hopes to cultivate and develop specifically as a forward military operating base to aggressively counter Houthi threats menacing Red Sea shipping lanes. Turkey's sophisticated moves, underlying strategic motives, and expanding operational footprint across Africa were exclusively detailed and analyzed by the Middle East Eye investigative outlet in their comprehensive January 6 reporting. Ibrahim Kalin said, and I quote, "As the National Intelligence Organization, our activities on the continent, from our stabilizing and balancing stance in Libya, to our contribution to the fight against terrorism in Somalia and our operations in Sudan, has attracted the attention of many countries. Positive results of intelligence diplomacy are being achieved throughout Africa, from Chad to Niger, from Togo to Burkina Faso, from Tanzania to Kenya." Unquote. Bilateral trade volume surging between Turkey and African nations has skyrocketed eightfold since 2003 alone, reaching an impressive $40.7 billion milestone by 2022 through aggressive commercial diplomacy and infrastructure contracts. Meanwhile, Turkey's diplomatic footprint has dramatically expanded, with the number of Turkish embassies and consulates operational on the African continent surging from just 12 outposts in 2002 to a robust network of 44 missions today. In recent years, marking a clear strategic evolution, Turkey's deepening engagement throughout resource-rich Africa has become noticeably more overtly military and security-oriented rather than purely economic or humanitarian in nature. Ankara has aggressively supplied its battle-proven Bayraktar TB2 armed drones, while simultaneously signing comprehensive security training and capacity-building agreements with frontline nations like military-ruled Niger. Turkey skillfully frames this multifaceted engagement by strategically blending hard security cooperation initiatives with sophisticated early warning intelligence networks and proactive preventive military operations across unstable regions. The volatile Sahel region and strategically critical Horn of Africa have emerged as primary hotspots where Turkish intelligence activity, special forces training rotations, and covert operational tempo have been steadily increasing. Unlike traditional Western partners often criticized for conditional aid packages, Ankara has deftly positioned itself throughout Africa as a pragmatic development partner, simultaneously offering unrestricted trade opportunities, modern defense systems, and tailored security support. This ambitious continental push forms just one vector within President Erdogan's much broader geopolitical ambition to transform Turkey into a major pivotal actor strategically linking Europe, the Middle East, and resource-rich Africa through Istanbul's growing global influence. President Recep Tayyip Erdogan appears aggressively moving to consolidate Turkey's position throughout Africa precisely after Israel unilaterally recognized the disputed Somaliland territory as a fully sovereign independent state in a provocative diplomatic maneuver. Somalia, which continues to officially considers and claims Somaliland as an integral inseparable part of its national sovereign territory, issued a blistering condemnation vehemently denouncing Israel's controversial unilateral recognition decision as illegitimate. This unified sharp rebuke materialized through a coordinated joint statement explicitly endorsed by the foreign ministers representing Turkey, Egypt, and Djibouti, standing firmly together against external interference in Horn geopolitics. Since strategically re-engaging with the fragile Somali federal government back in 2011 after years of civil war chaos, Ankara has poured billions in direct investments constructing critical national infrastructure projects across the war-torn country. Turkish involvement comprehensively spans everything from massive airport and port reconstruction projects, multi-million-dollar humanitarian aid packages, robust diplomatic backing at the United Nations, to hands-on military training programs equipping Somali National Army units. Somalia unequivocally serves as the bedrock cornerstone anchoring Turkey's much broader grand strategic ambition to systematically project power, influence friendly regimes, and establish permanent economic footholds right across the length and breadth of Africa. Turkey consistently frames and markets its comprehensive engagement throughout Somalia specifically as genuine Muslim solidarity extended toward a fellow predominantly Islamic nation heroically emerging from the ashes of decades of devastating clan-based civil conflict and terrorism. However, Israel's deepening engagement cultivating ties with the secessionist Somaliland administration now directly threatens to catastrophically disrupt and undermine Turkey's carefully cultivated Pan-African model that has yielded substantial diplomatic and commercial dividends over 15 years.